Good morning. Today I'm doing a question and answer video from a viewer comment about my diabetic education video. Now, actually, the viewer did not ask any questions, but the viewer made a comment, and I'm just going to make the comment into questions because a lot of people have the same questions and beliefs. And so some people may be afraid to ask questions, but they may benefit from the question being answered. So I didn't want to ignore the comments because they're very important. And I didn't mention the viewer's name, but I want to thank the viewer for having the courage to post because it does help other people. Okay, so basically, the viewer commented some good information, but unfortunately, many doctors give outdated advice and will lead you down a path of your type 2 diabetes getting worse and worse. Fasting, carb reduction, losing all excess fat will reverse type 2 diabetes. We're just going to break this down, okay, step by step, because there's a lot of information in here, a lot of beliefs about diabetes in this comment. Okay, so the first part says some good information. So that means that we agree on some things and we disagree on some things. So let's try to figure out what we agree and disagree. The next part says, but unfortunately, many doctors give outdated advice and will lead you down a path of your type 2 diabetes getting worse and worse. Okay, we definitely don't agree with that. Okay, so doctors have to follow certain medical guidelines. They can't just do whatever they want to do. Most of these guidelines are set by Medicare. And so a doctor will try to control your diabetes. They will measure your blood glucose to see if it's controlled. They will also do a test called hemoglobin A1C to see if it's controlled. So it's either controlled or it's not. So I'm not really sure what the viewer means by that. I am aware that there are unlicensed people advising on treatments and even promising cures for diabetes. I would say just be careful and check your blood sugar just to make sure that it's controlled. Also, there's people from other countries advising. And again, I'll just say be careful and just make sure you check your blood sugar to make sure that it's controlled. And that's all I'll say about that. The issue with non-medical advisors is that usually they're given just a one fit all type advice, and everybody's diabetes is different. There's no two people with the same pancreatic function. So these treatment plans are not individualized. So the plans are either working and your diabetes is controlled, or they're not working and your diabetes is not controlled. Okay? Now, I don't know what the outdated advice the viewer was talking about because the viewer did not mention what the outdated advice was. So I just have to assume. So I have to assume that the viewer might believe that insulin is outdated. I would have to disagree because insulin is a hormone, and your body uses insulin to break down the sugar into a form your body can use. So, for over 5,000 years now, their pancreas has secreted insulin hormone. That hasn't changed. So I'm not sure exactly what the outdated information was about that. There are some new medications that are on the market that help you pee out sugar. There's also some medications on the market that help you pee out fat. However, insulin, on the other hand, will help your body to absorb your carbohydrates into a form that your body can use. So these medications work differently and have different purposes, and they may be able to be used independently or work together to enhance control of diabetes. The choice of medication combinations will really depend on how much insulin your pancreas is able to secrete. So the viewer may not believe in any medicine at all. I'm not sure. But I'm just trying to think about questions that other people may have and answer them. Now let's talk about why some doctors may prefer older medications. So, when new medications come out, there's a patent on them. Patents can last 10 years or 20 years. I don't really know. That's not the important part, so I'm not going to look that up. But when a medication first comes out and it has a patent on it, it's very expensive. Once the patent expires on the medication, it can become a generic medication, and different drug companies can make the same medication for cheaper. So, insulin is an old medication, insulin is a cheap medication. And insulin has been on the market a long time. So the new medications, okay, that are doing, working in different ways. They're working in different ways. They may or may not be on the market, 5 to 10 years from now. We just don't know. So just because a medication is new does not mean that it is better. That's all I want to say. And read the possible risk of taking your new medications. The drug companies are starting to list, possible complications of the new medications. If the medications work for you and you're willing to try them, that's great, because somebody has to try them. And the new medications may be good, and we may find out that it's not worth taking them. So, I'm not against new medication at all. But it's just that some doctors use older medications because they know that they're safe, they trust them, and that's just that. Also, if you're taking some kind of supplement or some kind of vitamin or some kind of herb, supplements are different. They don't have to list the risk or possible side effects, or they don't have to be FDA approved or tested. So I would just say listen to your own body if you're trying this, and also have your blood sugar checked to make sure that it is controlling your glucose. Also, have your yearly labs done to check your liver and your kidney functions. I remember when I was a child, everybody was doing apple cider vinegar. Now, today, I don't see it as much, but I still see some people mention apple cider vinegar can cure everything. And also, there was a juice when I was a young kid that people were going house to house selling this juice. And I don't remember the name of that juice. It wasn't pomegranate, I don't think, but it was a deep, deep red juice. And they would bring a jug around from house to house to sell that. And they would say it would cure, all the diseases and things like that. So just be careful. So basically, with this viewer, I'm not even sure if this viewer would use any medication because this viewer did not mention medications at all. Okay, so the next thing that was written was fasting, carb reduction, losing all excess fat will reverse type 2 diabetes. Okay, so basically, the only thing I agree in this last sentence is carb reduction. Um, I would not educate anyone with diabetes to do fasting for many reasons. If they're on insulin, that can be dangerous. Um, Also, if they're not on insulin, what fuel will your body use? What nutrients will your body use? What vitamins will your body use? What minerals will your body use if you're fasting? Okay, fasting can also possibly cause dehydration in a diabetic and possibly electrolyte imbalances. So basically, fasting does not help your pancreas to produce more insulin. And you should also be cautious that you don't become weak or dizzy or faint or dehydrated if you're fasting. Okay, the next thing is carb reduction. We agree on that. However, I would not use the term reverse. I would use the term controlled. And also, I would not use the term losing all excess fat. I would use the term just exercise. Okay, the next thing, losing all excess fat will reverse type 2 diabetes. Okay, that's a misunderstanding. Okay, so most licensed medical professionals would not use the word reverse. They would likely use the word controlled type 2 diabetes because reverse is so final. It's like, okay, the disease is gone, whereas control just means continuing to monitor your health over a lifetime. The reason why is because there's certain factors with type 2 diabetes that you cannot change. One of them is your age. You cannot change your age. One of them is your sex. However, I do know some people are changing their sex, but I'll make a future video about the sex change and the hormone treatments and stuff and how it affects later. I don't want to go into too much detail about sex change, but basically extra estrogen and things can increase diabetes. So if your sex does have an effect on diabetes. And for the most part, you can't change your sex genetically. You can only change your sex phenotype. So you can change the way you look, but you can't change your DNA with your sex, the XY chromosome or the XX chromosome. So there's certain things that you can't change with your sex. So, also using steroids can increase your risk for diabetes. So, if you have uncontrolled asthma, uncontrolled osteoarthritis, uncontrolled COPD, and you're using prednisone or other steroids, that could also induce diabetes. The other thing, you can't change what you inherit from your family. So, diabetes has been linked genetically with certain families. Like, for instance, I'll just use an example. One person may not have diabetes in their family, but they may have a history of heart disease in their family, or they may have a history of strokes in their family. Okay, so there are some things that we inherit genetically from our families. So those are three risk factors of diabetes that we cannot reverse. Okay, we can't change our age, we can't change our genetics, we cannot change our sex genetically. Okay, now the things we can change to help control diabetes is we can exercise. That will help our bodies work better. We can also change our diet. We can eat healthy. We can make better food choices. That will also help to control our diabetes. And we can reduce all the stress in our lives. We can be compliant with our diabetic regimen or treatment, and that will help to control diabetes. Diabetes is a disease. It tends to get worse with age. So I would not tell somebody, oh, your diabetes is reversed, don't worry about it, everything is fine. No, you have to have your yearly checkups with your yearly lab work to see if your diabetes is still controlled. Okay? So, the next thing I want to talk about is losing all excess fat will reverse type 2 diabetes. Okay, I don't agree with that because, first of all, diabetes has nothing to do with excess fat. Okay, diabetes has to do with excess carbohydrates. Okay, so I'm not sure where the viewer is going with this. Maybe they're trying to say if you have a healthy weight, that your diabetes, it will help control your diabetes, and that is true. But I don't understand the connection with fat and carbohydrate because diabetes is a disease of carbohydrate, not fat. Now, there is a concern with untreated diabetes. Sometimes the person can lose a lot of weight from untreated diabetes. They'll lose a lot of their body fat. Okay. And this is a complication from untreated diabetes called diabetic ketoacidosis. Okay, and in this diabetic complication, the person cannot absorb the nutrition from the carbohydrates because they don't have the hormone insulin, they're not on the treatment, or they're not taking enough insulin. So their body will need to get the calories from somewhere. So their body will start burning up the excess fat on their body to help provide the calories that the body needs to survive. Now, when this happens, when your body burns up all that fat in your body to use it in replacement of the lack of glucose that it can find or that it can process, it changes the chemistry in your body. So you will become too acidic, okay? And It's a very dangerous condition called diabetic ketoacidosis. This is caused from untreated diabetes, and your body starts using up the excess fat on your body to get the calories that the body needs for survival. This is very dangerous. You need to go to the emergency room, call 911, have someone bring you. So a lot of times diabetics can be confused. It can also cause dehydration because your body is going to try to pee out that excess glucose. So it's also linked with dehydration too. It's very dangerous. So this is kind of like something concerning that people just assume that because you've lost a lot of weight, you're healthy and your diabetes is reversed, and you might be in an unhealthy state. You really don't know unless you check your blood sugar, either at home with your glucometer or either in your doctor's office with lab work. Okay, so the only way you would know if your diabetic regimen is working is if you check your blood sugar. If your blood sugar is, I'm just going to give you a range, everybody is different. If your glucose is between 100 milligrams per deciliter and 120 milligrams per deciliter, I would say that your diabetes is controlled. That doesn't mean that you can stop exercising or stop eating healthy or stop taking your medicine. It means that whatever you're doing is working. That's what it means. So that was a lot to take in, guys, and I hope I answered all the questions that people may have. I do want to thank the viewer that had the courage to comment because it really helps other people. And I guess that's all. I can't think of anything else I wanted to say on this topic. I hope the information can bless someone. And take care of yourself, eat healthy, exercise, keep your yearly appointments with your doctor, and seek medical attention if you notice you're not feeling well or if you think you may have any complications. Okay, thank you so much for listening to the questions and answers on Diabetic Education. Be blessed.